explain the state of the art of nanomaterials enrooted, nanophotonics, and its future applications. However, what I see today is remarkably different from what I thought 9 years before. In fact, nanophotonics evolved at the speed of light and penetrating each and every branch of science and technology. So it is very difficult to give a justice to this ever-growing, multifaceted field in 1.5 hours. However, I would take an attempt to demonstrate how the synergy, the creative combination among nanophotonics, plasmonics, optoelectronics, artificial intelligence, and deep machine learning is going to revolutionize the forthcoming human civilization on this planet and beyond. Let's wait and watch. The main recurring theme of the lecture today is how to transform the indoor lighting system into daylight sky with the help of nanophotonics, and thereby preventing the prevalence of myopia and making our living comfortable with circadian rhythm. My lecture begins with this note. I'm going to touch all these items in this talk. Light and life, human vision, natural lighting environment, artificial lighting. I would also give nutritional lighting prospect, the challenges, and in the end, I'll give a gentle conclusion. I would follow a journalist style where I would be telling what we have achieved so far, how to way forward, when we are going to materialize this, can we really achieve this goal? But the central question here is, why are we asking human-centric lighting system? It is because something somewhere has gone severely wrong in the modernization, and that we are going to explore. Before that, I just would like to give you some views of the man of last century, Einstein, and the main discoverer of light as photon. What is their view? If you look at the outlook on life and light, Albert Einstein told life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. On the other hand, Louis de Broglie, his famous de Broglie duality hypothesis, wave matter hypothesis, wave particle hypothesis, he said light, in short, the most refined form of matter. According to Oscar Wilde, life is rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that's all. And in the time of this challenging global time, it's true. For me, life on Earth is the living polymer seed in the vast electromagnetic soup. So as introduction of this lecture, I would like to pose two questions here. Why do we need human-centric lightning system? And what is exactly the human-centric lightning system? And how to get the solution by nanophotonics. As I told, we are talking this today because something went severely wrong in the modernization. So therefore, technology will come as a rescuer and for the solution. Let's quickly look at usefulness of light for life on Earth. We know from our childhood, from our high school days, many things, but let's look at scientifically more coherent way. 300 years after Big Bang, light appeared. 10 billion years after, Earth was formed. And the life on Earth came into existence about 3.5 billion years ago. And we are in this tiny planetary system where sun is the main source of energy. And the beautiful, colorful universe on top. For plants, light provides the energy photosynthesis. Light regulates the biorhythm, which is called photoperiodism. We know it. Many plants flowers in the morning time, many plants flower in the night time. So depending on the light intensity, they goes or they alive. For animals, light is necessary to visualize surrounding world. And this is called image forming effect. That we see, we understand. But there is a bigger role of light in our life, in the animal life. That is known as non-image forming system that I would be highlighting today. What is that? Light regulates the circadian rhythm, hormonal system, and sleep time. Majority of our diseases, human diseases, arise from the wrong sleep habit. And that's where the human-centric lightning system comes in. On the other hand, if we look at the origin of life, we have no useful definition. If you ask biologist, chemist, physicist, philosopher, everyone has their own definition. Let's not get into that. Ask the question, how life evolved on Earth. It started with bacteria, then archaea, then eukaryotea. So we are in the eukaryotea, and we animal, plants, all are in this higher category, so-called hierarchical animals. And this is the branching of the animal kingdom. But the most important thing, we are the Homo sapiens, and human-centric lighting system, we are talking about ourselves, for our comfort, for our happy living, for our disease-free living. So Homo sapiens, according to the evidence, Broken Hill skull in Samba Valley, it came in 200,000 years before present time. Here is the beginning of the need of human-centric lightning system. This is the book written by D. Lieberman, Evolution, Health, and Disease in 2013. Look at this picture, you will understand that our ancestors was chimpanzee, and we are slowly transforming into chimpanzee again, because our daily life activities nowadays, even these online classes and everything, are mostly on computer. And if you look at the first picture of chimpanzee and today's our posture in front of the computer, they are truly identical. And that's where the problem. So we are transforming back into that era. If we look at the old era, hunters-gatherer era, that evolved in the green forest or grassland, fire was the main source of energy. Fire was also a source of fear. Farmer lived in green garden as the modernization took place. where fire and candles were the light sources. Long before, the premature deaths were due to starvation, bad sanitations, infectious diseases, and physical exhaustion. But nowadays, new factors changed to obesity, eating too much, too clean, creating lifestyle mismatch. At this point, I would like to remind, at this moment, few millions children and adults are having skin problem due to overuse of sanitizer. 30% of the young children in cosmopolitan cities are having breathing problem due to pollution and use of mask. 50% of the world population, young age between 7 to 20, are myopic, eyesight problem. Can nanophotonics inhibit this detrimental scenario? And that's where I'm going to argue today. Yes, it can, but it's a long journey to achieve that goal. Let's quickly look at the historical perspective of light. Started with Newton, ended with Louis de Broglie, Comstock, C.V. Raman, and Bose-Einstein statistics. Today, we know light has a dual character, wave and particle. But the most important thing for common people is light is primary source of energy for the biosphere. Everything we eat comes from plant. Plant food eaten by animal, and then animals are also eaten by human and hierarchical animals. So light is the main source of energy. And the solar radiation enters on Earth, and it keeps a balance through greenhouse effect, through everything, absorption, scattering, everything. So each and every step of solar light interaction on the Earth with the human is important. If we look at this colorful world, ask the question, color comes from where? If we want to understand the color comes from where, we need to look at the spectral distribution, spectral power distribution. If you look at the incandescent lamp, ordinary lamp, tungsten lamp, which has a color temperature 2800 degree Kelvin, as opposed to mercury lamp, which is more whitish, because it has a closed spectrum and it is more soothing to the eyes, because its color temperature, color correlated temperature is higher, 500 degree Kelvin. And if you look the bottom picture, you can see with the change of the color temperature, how the color of light changes. On the other hand, if you look at the illumination spectra of blue sky, and its maxima is near the green and yellow, where our eyes' optical density is maximum. And that's why blue color sky is the most soothing and the most natural to the human. On the other hand, if you look at the tungsten bulb, it's increasing with wavelength, and that's never is a soothing and good for health. On the other hand, if we look at the reflectance spectra, different objects in nature emits different light because of this reflectance. But the most important thing, the higher the color temperature, the cooler the color. So nanophotonics need material with higher color temperature. White LED, cool white LED require materials, new materials, functional materials, their synthesis and processing for developing cooler white LEDs. How do we see? This is the question we are asking, the vision problem or vision in general. We see light because light has three important characteristics: wavelength, frequency, and amplitude. But the most important thing, all these three things are responsive to our eyes. And that's the color spectrum of the white light, starting from the 720 nanometer to 380 nanometer. Towards the 300 nanometer, it is the violet. Towards the 700 nanometer, it is the red. But important thing, we see things because they reflect light into our eyes. This is literally the only way we get to see things. All objects we see either create light or reflect light. The eye is the main physical reception of all this beautiful, colorful world. You ask yourself the question, if someone is blind, connect a camera with a fiber optical cable with the brain, can that person see the colorful world the way we normal person see? This experiment is going on at various levels using nanophotonics. Till today, it's not succeeded. The moment it would be succeeded, eye implantation is not needed. Everyone would be fitted with a nice camera in the forehead and can see everything, roads, road marking, traffic. But nanophotonics is on the way to reveal that mystery. And I'm sure the way plasmonics and nanophotonics is growing, tomorrow there will be some solution to the blind people in this world. The important thing, physical reception by eyes taken in various steps. Light reflects from object. Images are focused upside down on the retina. Retina contains two kinds of cells, rod cells and cone cells. Rod cells are responsible for low light vision, particularly in the darkness in the nighttime. Cone cells are for the color vision in the well-lit system. And all the signals are processed by a bunch of cells which transfer the signal into the neuron. They are known as ganglion cells. In fact, modern neurology says that many people have many neurons which are damaged, but still they are existing. One of the biggest examples is Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, many neurons were not there, but his intelligence was still intact. Now, question is, can nanophotonics make those neurons repaired? And that is going to be another issue for the future. The important thing is all to do for our eyes is rods and cone cells. These rods and cone cells are huge in number, and they are all the time constantly operating and providing the three important colors to our eyes, red, green, and blue. And the entire color spectrum in the universe, entire optical devices are based on this trichromaticity color. Let's look at how human vision and sensations are connected to the light. So one thing is vision, another thing is sensation and perception. So there are four important things in our sensory system. The sensation, which is the detection of the physical energy, the perception, mental process, and the data reduction system, which is done by the sensory system that analyzes and selects the signal, and the transducers that converts the energy, and those are the receptors. You look at this picture, someone is playing the drum, our eyes for detect, ear understand the signal and the sound, then immediately we start reacting, clapping, smiling, all our body's gestures and movement starts. And here is the distinction between sensation and perception. Sensation involves the stimulation of sensory organs, whereas perception involves the processing and interpretation of sensory input. This illustration clearly shows the merging of these two processes at the point where sensory receptors convert physical energy into neuronal impulses. So the neurons are the main thing connected with the eyes to give the color and their pattern. So vision is the key sense. And that's why during the solar eclipse day, we can see for longer time towards the sky, thinking, oh, today sun is not bright, we can see. But by the time we see, all the ultraviolet has penetrated and eye is completely, retina is melted. within few hours. So we should not see on the solar eclipse days because infrared is cut off. That's why we can see. What resists us to see the bright sun is infrared. Infrared is good. Ultraviolet is damaging for the eyes. Two stages in our vision. The first stage is physical reception of stimuli, and second stage is the processing of interpretation of stimuli. I'm going to connect this concept with the concept of nanophotonics, and here is the goal. Here is the catch. If you look at the picture, here are many fibers which are optical nerves, and it was really the inspiration of the fiber optical cable developer. Those who discovered fiber optics, they thought that if our eyes can transfer the signal from the nature to our brain through a kind of optical nerve, can we have some physical material system which can guide the optical signal? And it was found silica, germanium doped silica is one of them, and that's why we use silicon fiber today. And this is really the inspiration of nanophotonics, that can we develop this kind of ganglion cells using the plasmistor devices, using the nanophotonic devices, so that the entire eye can be fabricated in the laboratory, can be implanted into the human, and that eye would be as good as the human eyes. And that would be our tomorrow's goal. But the important thing in all this is the artificial neural network, the artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, quantum electronics, and nanomaterials. This creative combination is going to solve this problem for tomorrow. Now, question is, our response, eyes response to the color. We actually respond to three colors very strongly. And this has happened through physiology and psychology. Physiology means spectral sensitivity function, and psychology means color matching functions. And color is characterized by three important things: hue, brightness, and saturation. Saturation is also called value. It gives the purity. Brightness is the amount of intensity of the photon, number of photons per unit area that falls into our retina. And color is based on the part of the wavelength that is detected by the retina. And here is the response. If you look at the physiological response, the sharpest response or the prominent response is on the red. And then that's why our eye is very sensitive to the infrared. And if you look at the physiology function, then physiology function more or less similar response to all three colors. And here is the three kind of photoreceptors, which are called S cones, M cones, and L cones. These are responsible for detecting all this color. As you can see, the blinking color, you are only seeing at a time red, blue, or green. And this mixing of the color is giving you the background, and that is nearly 0.4 million color can be possible by mixing red, green, and blue for 0.4 million, and our eye can detect them. This is the power of eye. So can we develop a nanophotonic device, artificial eye, which can detect 0.4 million? I would wonder if ever technology can do that. The most important and sensational facts about human vision is the following. Our eyes are closed at least 30 times a day just from blinking. Owls can see a mouse moving over 150 feet away with light no brighter than candle. A chameleon's eyes can look in opposite direction at the same time. A newborn baby sees the world upside down because it takes some time for the baby's brain to learn to turn the picture right side up. Some baby can do it in 3 days, some can in 7 days, some can in few months, some even cannot in few years. And that's where the nanophotonics, that's where the tweezer, and that's where this technology, laser technology, will play the role. It will go into the deeper of the cell, look at the mutations, look at the replication, look at the DNA, look at their evolution in real time with near field optical scanning microscopy in 4-dimension time and space. Can we do that? And nanophotonics is going to play an important role in that direction. And the important thing, 1 in every 12 males colorblind. And that's why so many colorful objects, so many colorful dresses people wear, so that at least some color would be visible to see the appropriate color. And that's the way our color world is developed. Color television, color phone, color object, color scheme are developed. If you look at the vision problem at the moment among the people in the world, they are categorized into 4. Hyperopia, myopia, astigmatism, and presbyopia. The most common one is myopia. As I told, about 73% of the Asian children between 7 and 11 are having this problem. It is because from the day of birth, they started flipping mobile phone in front of them. And at the age of 3, they started swiping the screen to see everything. And that is the major threat to the modernization, where rods and cone cells damage much. As a result, ganglion cells are unable to process and transfer the signal energy to the brain, and that causes the myopia. Color vision into 3 colors, red, green, and blue. However, we also see white and black. And white and black we see due to the rod cells in the eyes. What are the conditions necessary for color perception? Are the 3 things. We need an illuminant object, we need an object to see, and we need observer to observe. That means the eye or any detection system. Photodetector can do, but photodetector cannot see the details of the thing as we see by our eyes. For example, we can see on the human face where is the pimple, how big is the pimple, but photodetector cannot really measure those things. It will only detect the light intensity and not that kind of level. So human visual system is therefore based on rods and cone cells. You ask the question at the end of the day that what is then the color perception and vision? Have we really understood it yet very clearly? My answer is, in most cases, biologists come into the picture. In many cases, in all cases, chemistry, because it has something to do with the photochemistry. The moment photon goes inside, rods and cone cells, chemically active, and all kind of oxidation, reduction, reaction starts taking place, and that's why the brain processes the signal. It's a very, very complex process. In every case, it is physics, because we physicists understand electromagnetic interaction with matter, scattering, absorption, diffraction, interaction, absorption, emission, and so on. And that's the way we visualize color, because eye is the spectroscopic device in built software and hardware, the best spectroscopy. However, its resolution is very low. That's why we need TEM, SEM, Raman spectroscopy, because our eyes cannot detect everything. Please tell what else and why the vision is such important research and nanophotonics is coming. Why it is so perplexing? It is perplexing because it is an interdisciplinary area where biochemical physics knowledge is very crucial. And nevertheless, we do not know most of it. Even we do not know why some people are having blue color eye, green color eye, gray color eye. There is no answer to it even. Even some people are having 2 eyes of 2 different colors. Not only that, nowadays, to get beautifications, if you go in hotel and many places, receptionists are using 6, 7 pairs of different contact lenses to show their beautiful eyes, which is also damaging, because if you are putting a layer on our retina gets stressed. The wetting layer decreases day by day, it dries up, and eyes develop some problem. So this is also important. Can nanophotonics bring a solution to this? So these are the questions we are asking here: vision, perception, sensation, and so on, and the solution to the myopia. The most important thing, the philosophers' view about perception and visions are different. And here is the author of 7 Habits, Covey. He says, all people see the world not as it is, but as they are. So we see the world according to our way, we are not really seeing the world's way. Now, describing the chromatic lights, how do we describe the chromatic light? Is there any scientific way of describing? Answer is yes. We describe the chromatic light in terms of some measurement, called radiance in terms of what? Luminance in terms of lumen, and brightness. And we can characterize the color in terms of hue, saturation, and brightness. Now, is there any need to define the color numerically in photonics? Answer is yes. And that's why different materials, starting from the quantum dots to quantum wires to bulk material to micro material, and that's why the so fancy, so expensive processing, nanolithography, deep UV lithography, electron beam lithography, scanning, tunneling, microscopic manipulation by atom, molecular beam epitaxy. Why all these methods are needed? All these methods are needed to excite different colors into different materials, different properties into different materials, so-called emerging properties of materials. So numerical representation of the colors are needed for world standardization. Suppose Samsung produce 1 million pieces of a new series of color television and phone. How do they guarantee all the customer gets the same color? So here is the role of computer color, digital art, digital mapping, and that's where the science of art and lighting. And this is standardized by an organization called Commission Internationale d'Éclairage. So they are the authority to decide the color standardization. And it was formed in 1903, but after that, many other organizations also formed. So today we have CIE 1931, CIE 1964, WAS 1976, SMJ 1993. But the idea is to represent RBG color form or XYZ form. The message for the students and young researcher, if you are working on any material which has an emission of light, please do not forget to do the CIE and look at the color purity. Who knows, tomorrow that particular material would be useful for light emitting material, either for laser or for display or for cool white LED. So models of color specifications can be done in various ways. And the most important thing, our eye can perceive about, I told you, 0.4 millions of colors. Look at the power of eye. It's the gifted optical device ever anyone made in this universe. And if you look at the color purity or the CIE chromaticity diagram, it's beautiful. You can see the color purity at the edge of this diagram. What I am plotting here is called the XY chromaticity coordinates. If your material you just collect the absorption and emission spectra, photoluminescence and emission spectra. There is a software inbuilt, available, free domain in the internet, and you just match your absorption and emission peak. With that software, you are going to predict where is the coordinate, and from the coordinate, you can predict where is the color. But the most important color, most important research which is going on, billion-dollar industries all over the world, every country, science and technology, or the commission, or the government organization and private organization are pumping money to get cool white LED. It has nearly $100 billion market in next 30 to 40 years, where nanophotonics will control the entire light signal. And that is the way white cool LED, our new revolution, will going to come. Question is, why we specify colors numerically Is there really any need to specify color numerically? Answer is yes. For digital imaging, we ensure that everyone sees the same color. And that's why this is known as the golden arches. Many products are identified by colors. For example, nowadays online shopping, if you don't see good color in online shopping, you will not buy. Even if you see good color, you will be doubtful. Is it the original or fake? So you see, particularly for the online shopping, particularly for the online purchase, online marketing, the color digital display play a very, very important role. And our eyes must see the same color in different laptop, different computer. Suppose in one laptop you open, it shows the blue color. In another, it shows the sky blue color. So deep blue and sky blue are two different. So therefore, you will be immediately doubting. So this is the guarantee different companies give how we see the standard and same color for the object which is put in the online shopping. Reading. Reading is one of the very interesting thing for us. We spend more time in reading, not by seeing the coloring picture. Of course, nowadays, many kids or many youngsters changes their Facebook photos, selfie photos many times, so they might be interested. But the most interesting thing in reading actually done in several stages. And in reading, the human-centric lighting plays the role. And that's where the myopia prevalence can be prevented. Let's look at what are those stages. So visual patterns are first perceived. It is decoded using internal representation of language. It's interpreted using knowledge of syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Then, reading involves saccades and fixations. Perception occurs during fixations. Word shapes is important to recognition. And in fact, in many cases, negative contrast improves reading from computer and cell phone screen. But negative contrast has bad effect on our eyes. For example, in the dark room, during the sleeping time, if you are playing with too much cell phone, too much mobile phone, with the contrast blue light, that's too much damaging for eyes. So even if you do the phone 1 hour or 2 hours during sleeping, you put the light on and do the phone, and before you go to bed, you put off the light. So that's, and the most important suggestion, recommendation, don't use any phone during the sleep time. But if you feel urgent, then put all the light on in the room. So amazing thing about human vision and mind is the following. I give 1 minute time to read all of you this, and you are going to discover a very interesting thing. And I hope you finish the reading by now. But my message is, do not tell this to your kids. Because school-going kids, if they write wrong spelling, and if you say this is wrong, then you will say, one day you also wrote like this. A and B changes their position. C and T changes their position. Cat, C-A-T, or I can write A-C-T, doesn't matter. So for kids, this is very dangerous. But for you, it is very amazing about our eyes. Look at how our eyes and brains are trained already. Even without reading every word carefully, it can read the entire sentences with the same speed as that of if it was written correctly. And that's where our mind, our perception, our sensation, and our detection system. Let's quickly get into the human vision. The visual information depends on the lighting system, objects, and human vision system, the eyes. And that's the way we look at different colors, different shapes, different depths, different patterns in the. And if we compare the human eyes with the artificial camera, most sophisticated camera, which is having as many frames as that our eyes can detect, or even more. Our eyes, for example, cannot detect the individual motions of the wings of fly or mosquito or even helicopter. But nowadays, most of the sophisticated camera can even take separately their specs, their photographs. So these are called if you increase the frames per second, you can take. But the most important thing about the eyes, like camera, is we have two types of responsibility of the rods and consoles. One is called the scotopic vision, which is under low light level, and another is called the photopic vision, which is under the well. And here is the role of rods and consoles and the ganglion cells, which are responsible. And the most important thing in the optics nerve disc head, the right light intensity must fall to get the right picture. And those particularly who are myopic or those who are tending to be myopic, how to inhibit that? Only solution is through human-centric lightning system, create uniform background on the working place. Uniform background meaning without shadow, without any kind of darkness. The way sunlight create in the daylight sky, blue sky we see, same should be like blue sky, uniform. Can we create that? Answer is yes. It has been already demonstrated into small scale, but world needs at large scale, and that's where the market, that's where the nanophotonics going to play. Let's quickly look at this natural lighting environment, which we call human-centric lighting environment. If you look at the high luminance of the blue color sky, which is between 2,000 lux to 10,000 lux. So this much of luminance we need for this. And the color temperature, if you look at the color temperature of this would be around 8 to 10,000, and that's where our circadian rhythm. And the light must fall in each and every object inside the room at a particular solid angle, which is measured in steradian, and that would decide the natural daylight inside the room in the indoor kind of setup. Most of the common color temperature that we use or we are used to, blue color sky around 8,500. This is called the color temperature, with which the soothing of the color, the coolness of the color is decided. This is a measure of the coolness of the color. And this color temperature has something to do with the CIE diagram, and this is the way technologists and LED builders or any optical device or optical engineer develop their audiovisual display and also their materials that will act as a photodetectors, photosensor, photoreceptors, and whatever related to the color of the system. So 4,500 clear metal halide lamp, halogen lamp 3,000, 2,500 for the 40-watt incandescent lamp. That's why bulb, nowadays very rarely you will see bulb, only in some Asian countries like India, Bangladesh, and so on, to save the electricity and power. But you must know that in the bulb, 95% of the energy is lost as heat. Only 5% is the useful energy, with the best even today. Okay? And 2,000 is the color temperature for the candle. That's why we cannot read on the candle light. Look at how old people used to read on the candle light, and they got some big discovery and inventions thanks to our gifted optical detector eyes. Now, how we will get it? How we will get the artificial light source and lightning system? This can be achieved using LED. LED market is the huge, and it has huge potential. In fact, any new material you discovered, companies are waiting for developing LED. So now, with the semiconductor, people are also trying with the rare earth doped glasses. nanoparticles, rare earth, metal nanoparticles, glass ceramics, various kind of combinations, because semiconductors are common, but can we bring some new materials for eye-safe lensing, for eye-safe display devices? And this is the anatomy of the LED and how the LED, red, green, and blue LED look like. And then you mix this color to get the white LED, which is the right-hand side picture. Well, let's look at the revolution in the LED in last 15 to 20 years. Not 15 to 20 years, say last 10 years only. If you look at, this is known as the third revolution of light source. From the incandescent lamp to halogen to TFL to CFL, and then 2014 Nobel Prize in Physics was on blue LED, which is the gateway to bright and energy-saving white light sources. In fact, countries like Malaysia, Singapore, and all these countries, they are completely replaced all the fluorescent lamp, even the tube lights and so on in the room by LED. In all room, like my room, we have all now LED light. Many developed countries had completely transformed into that, but that do not mean, the LED do not mean we have the human-centric lighting system. We have to go far, and there are many challenges into it, where all these fields I told about, nanomaterials, nanophotonics, plasmonics, optoelectronics, quantum electronics, going to play, fiber optics going to play a very important role for the control, power control, and for the soothing light emission, which our eyes needed. Let's look at, before a company produce a particular white LED or any kind of LED, how they standardize. So this is known as the color rendering index, which are called CRI index, which goes from 0 to 1. CRI determines how natural and normal do people and things appear under artificial light. And this is the way most of the lighting systems on Earth are developed by different companies. If you look at clear mercury, it has rendering index 1. And if you look at fluorescent lamp, it has a rendering index between 60 to 92. If you look at the daylight sky, it has a rendering index which is about 90. So we have to play with this rendering index when we are going from the poorer to the better lighting system in our rooms, in our indoor office, wherever. Because in the modern time, in 21st century, 16 to 17 hours people will be spending in indoor, doing their activities, particularly during this COVID time. Every day children is spending 4 to 7 hours in the laptop or tab or iPad or phone. So therefore, they are constantly interacting with the radiation, with the LED light, and here the photonics play a very important role. So if you look at the conventional lighting system, this is the best kind of conventional lighting system, recessed panel in office or pendant luminaries in the dining room in big 5-star or 7-star hotels in the world. Because normal people cannot afford this kind of thing, particularly in most of the low income group people in Africa and Asian countries, except some developed countries. Even in the developed countries, everyone cannot support until and unless government gives some subsidy. Now, if you look at the typical bedroom lighting, this is the low comfort, low illuminance, glare, and the most important thing, no circadian signal. And it is the most important thing. Human-centric lighting system means circadian signal. And circadian signal means our biological clock must click back and forth with the change of the light intensity. And all this conventional light, research shows that these conventional lights create a lot of indoor light pollutions. For instance, if you look at here, ideal HCl, if you look at the lux, which is 800 to 1500, if you look at the solid angle 1 to pi, and if you look at the circadian rhythm for 24 hours, which must be customized, as opposed to the light in the garden, if you look at the light in the garden from the daylight, which is 2000 to 5000, much higher than the human-centric lighting system. If you look at the IEC standard, International Standard for Electrical and Electrochemical Devices, in fact, all the light intensity, everything is done by the IEC standard, and they define 300 to 500, but daylight sky gives you this much of lux. Can we bring this inside our bedroom by doing the nanophotonic technology? And that's where the challenge so far not achieved yet. Solid angle 1 to 2 pi, can we bring that 1 to 2 pi? Circadian rhythm 24 hours and continuous, can we build that? And that is going to be one of the biggest challenge for next 20 to 30 years until some breakthrough occurs. And if the breakthrough occurs, I am sure that that will be another Nobel Prize for the humanity. So bad lighting means low lux, which is about 150. Low solid angle. Most of our room lights are like that. No protection for window. High contrast to dark ceiling. Low CCT, color correlation temperature. No circadian signal, and dark wall color. And this mess up this. So that's where the white LED comes into the picture as the prevention for the low light or indoor light pollution. And here is the role of white LED. White LED is important because they are energy efficient, long life, durable, cost saving, small size. You need only small place to fix them, design flexibility, and also tunable. And these are the materials at the moment in the market, but we need lots of new material. Mostly zinc oxide, cadmium selenide, cadmium sulfide. There are also some of them are toxic, not good. In fact, after the LED goes bad, how to dump the LED? Can we recycle those LED material? That is going to be a very big issue. As you know, a few years back, some of the developed countries wanted to drop million tons of broken computers and cell phone into the Amazon forest, and it was caught in the satellite. So now the kind of garbage is accumulated in the world in last 20 years from phone and television. If you put them, even Amazon is not enough. It will reach to the sky high, and that dumping. So landfilling, environmental pollution is going to play a very important role. So we need to miniaturize the devices, and that's where the moment miniaturization comes, nanophotonics comes into play. Miniaturization with high efficiency, low cost. Here are the material charts. What are the requirements for the material to qualify in the white LED? Correct bandgap, efficient radiative pathways, direct bandgap material. Material can be P and N type. If you look at the candidate materials, to have UV emitting diode, this is the wavelength. The energy must be 3.25 electron volt, bandgap energy of the material. For LED, it must be between 3.1 to 1.6, and for infrared ED, for detection and other system in the photonics, it should be around 1.65 electron volt. So direct bandgap materials are the most promising, not silicon, but silicon quantum dots are promising, and also silicon with many other, right, rare earth doping, rare earth quantum dots, metal nanoparticle sensitizers are now coming into play. Cadmium selenide quantum dots, many different kind of quantum dots and quantum structure. Where is the nanoscale structures are coming, nanomaterials are coming. That is going to revolutionize the world of nanophotonics. So material with refractive index that could allow the light to get out is important. So not only bandgap, the material should have the right refractive index. Yesterday, someone was asking from the audience, refractive index profile. And that's the most important thing for this kind of material. If you can create a new material with wonderful refractive index profile suitable for the white LED, after doping, you can develop good white LED. And that would be another revolution. So this is the way material world is progressing. So if you look at the material science or condensed matter experiments and and theory, you will look at all these materials are now listed from infrared to ultraviolet light emitting devices. Gallium, aluminum, arsenide, gallium based are dominating one. They are the hero, they are the champion in the semiconducting world because they are direct bandgap semiconductor. So for cool white LED, the most promising one at the time in the market, 8,000 Kelvin CCT temperature, which is indium gallium arsenide and silicon carbide. But they are too expensive and their processing at large scale is too difficult. And that's why, and they are also incompatible with the silicon chip because of the epitaxy or the crystalline mismatch. That is one of the major issues, that when you entangle different materials, different crystalline materials with this kind of LEDs, what would be the lattice matching? And that's where the failure of the devices will depend, and that really engineers and scientists are struggling with. The most important thing is the wavelength of the material, refractive index of the material, color purity of the material. So zinc sulfide, zinc oxide, gallium nitride, all these material that I have listed, people have now started producing nanosynthesis using the pulse laser ablation, using chemical techniques, using sol gel techniques, using nanolithography, and molecular beam epitaxy, very sophisticated. People are also trying with two-dimensional electron gas, and so on and so forth, like the way memory devices has developed over the last few years. And with the nanophotonics, at the same time, memory devices has to develop, miniaturized memory devices based on the nanotechnology. So, because everything has to be stored in the memory. So this is, and the artificial intelligence, deep machine learning, because those artificial intelligence and deep machine learning will control them in remote, where human intervention will not be there. And that's where the material synthesis play the role. So the LED challenges at the moment is cost, color purity. Directional distribution of the LED really has not developed that much. Engineers are struggling. The performance, how long it can give this same illuminance as it gets older and older. Life expectancy of the component. Everyone wants, customer wants. Today we'll install, after 5 to 10 years it must go because this is costly. Color shift, whether today we see white color, tomorrow whether it would be pale or dull or not. So that's one of the questions remaining. Until it is qualified, we don't know. Interface with the control system, as I told you, different other materials would be interfaced with that. How they will survive into different kind of temperature, pressure, and electric field gradients, because constantly power would be pumped into the system. And replacement of parts in the system is going to also play an important role. Here is the nanophotonics come into the solution. So now I'm going into the last part of my lecture. Next 15 to 20 minutes, I will be talking about, so considering all these white LEDs, nanophotonics, artificial intelligence, deep machine learning, nanotechnology, nanomaterial, plasmonics, fiber optic communication, combine them synergically, combine them creatively. In fact, nanophotonic technology is the modern and the most intelligent, intuitive way of combining these to get the right thing we want, to get the purposeful thing we want. And here, LED is making the revolution in the world. So all this became important. The human-centric lightning system became important because of this Nobel Prize. Look at the Nobel Prize of 2017. All of you must read their work, listen the Nobel talk. You will realize what important thing they have discovered. The truth, a part of truth of human cell. In fact, in our body, there is something called suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is a bilateral structure located in the anterior part of the hypothalamus. It is the central pacemaker of the circadian timing system. In short, we always talk about biological clock, biological clock. In fact, these three gentlemen detected that biological clock and detected how this biological clock signals receive the signal, and then our nighttime get into sleep, daytime waking. So all this, and then the hormone secretion, enzymatic secretion, our hunger, our feelings, our relaxation, our mood, our anger, our laughter, our happiness, our sorrow, our sadness, everything is determined by the circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is controlled by the daylight sky. And if we are working 17 to 19 hours inside the indoor, in the polluting light environment, then circadian rhythm will not work in the body after 5-10 years for the kids. And then their sleeping habit would be different. In fact, in the modern days, majority of the kids will spend on computer up to night 1 to 2 o'clock. But in our time, I remember after 10 o'clock, the parents would be very angry if we are not sleeping. I do not know what was the reason. Maybe kerosene was expensive and we didn't have money enough or enough supply of kerosene or candle light. But the truth was that made the body healthy. And that was the reason the disease was less, epidemic was less. Now the coronavirus, we do not know what virus is on the way, is due to the modernization. And all our circadian system, all our circadian timing system is getting broken because of the light pollution, sound pollution, weather pollution, food pollution. Most of the time, people in the modernized world are based on the fast food. All this fast food, people have started forgetting taking the natural food most of the cases. All the processed food, packaged foods, instead of taking tomato sauce is on the dining table. So that's how the modernized world is. And nanophotonics alone cannot, of course, do it. We have to also develop our healthy body system style. Now here is the Philips lightning system coming in towards the human-centric lighting. Philips first launched a system few years before, which they call dynamic lighting. Wake up temperature is 12,000 Kelvin, which is very near to the daylight sky, sunlight. And normal is 5,000 to 6,000, perfectly with the daylight sky. Focus more than 1,000 lux. Calm 3,000 degree, 300 lux. But the result was reading rate increased 35%. Error decreased by 45%. Hyperactive syndrome decreased by 76%. But the problem was they still have not reached into the perfection level to get that. The heating was there. The angle of light, there was some mild shadowing effect. And that's why we need better system. Sky Factory of USA came up with this. You see the Dublin hospital, where luminous sky ceiling, they bring the entire, so this is basically that. So human-centric lighting system needs very wonderful canvas painting role. Every day you can change. Sometime ocean picture, sometime the forest, sometime the Alps mountain. Everything you can do on the canvas painting. You can rotate their direction on the ceiling, particularly in your bedroom, in your dining space, in your reading room. And you will see when you will look towards the sky, towards the ceiling, you will feel as if the sky is near me. And that's what called human-centric. You are more towards the nature, not to the artificial. Now, if we look at the ceiling, we'll see something different. The solid ceiling, the icon, the light panel and things. But if we can do the system like this, it would be a big solution. Children would be happy, myopic person would be less in this world. And this is the stretch ceiling solution using LED. This idea came up by Barisol, and you can see this is good ambience, but too heavy and very expensive. Everyone cannot afford. Some of the 5-star and 7-star hotels, some of the concert hall, afford it. It's like the Bose music system. Everyone cannot afford. Or Dolby music system. Nowadays, many people can afford. But Bose music system is still expensive. Every people with the low earning group people. But a time will come, when nanophotonics will bring down the cost, and maybe something amazing will happen. This is awesome. The Designed Award of International Festival, Fair Festival in 2017, where they bring this scriptust TW LED, and this is the control panel using DALI, and they created a wonderful human-centric lighting system. Human-centric lighting built environment require different kind of aspects for this kind of lighting. The natural lighting versus artificial lighting system. And this artificial versus natural lighting system, artificial versus natural lighting system has quite different levels of parameter. So this parameter optimization requires altogether a different kind of attention. And as you know, as I mentioned in the beginning, both image forming and non-image forming attributes play the role. Non-image forming attributes are more important because that control the pulse in our body, power, appetite, stress release, sleeping habit, awakening habit, and all this, blood flow, blood pressure, everything. And image forming system decides the color, refractive diseases, cataract, glaucoma, crystal, and all these things. So therefore, human-centric lighting system must concentrate on all these aspects to bring into the reality in the indoor. So what do we mean by nutritional light sources and lighting? We mean that smart lighting technology is required, artificial light, but that would be exactly like the daylight in our room. And that requires 1200 to 6000, 1200 lux, 6500 Kelvin temperature. For relaxing, 3000 Kelvin light in the evening, because evening light of sun get dimmer, and accordingly you can adjust. And the solid angle must be near to 2 pi. The CCT temperature is very important, and it must be, can be controlled from the default to the customized way. And that's where the nutritional or human-centric lighting system play. And you can see here, the left-hand side is the conventional lighting system. When you put your hand on the book, you have a shadow, and right-hand side is the human-centric lighting system. If you put the hand, you will not get shadow. You can test in the sunlight. In the sunlight, if you put daylight, you will not get any shadow on your book. So that's the meaning, that using this dial-up system, we can have a beautiful effect which is close to the natural light. So living room lighting system, 900 lux and 400 lux at the present using conventional, but we want to transform it to some 1000 or 3000 lux, 1200 lux at least. So neoclassical decoration system, you can make the canvas painting on the ceiling, even on the wall if you like, and that is the way you can achieve the natural background, and you can see the natural daylight sky inside our dining space, inside our bedroom. And these are some of the human-centric lighting system which has been developed in many countries. They have started using. So this will actually prevent the myopia prevalence. And as you know, the myopia is due to the consequence of the bad light and bad practice, and particularly the light pollution in the indoors. Actually, human genes has not changed in last 2000 years. It is only the human practices changed. More focus on the audiovisual devices, television, computer, mobile phone, and so on. And that actually responsible for the myopia and eye-related problem. So biological mechanism must be regulated, can be regulated using the human-centric lighting system. In fact, glasses, contact lens, LASIK, femtosecond intervention, we wrote Me and Professor Devendra Mohan, we wrote an article on ophthalmology nearly in 1999. Now, 2001, we talked about white LED. We talked about OLED, optical light emitting diode. But all these are not going to be the solution. The only solution would be where we spend more time, our natural day sky should travel there. So transforming the artificial light into natural day sky inside the room would remain the biggest challenge for this scientific world at this moment. And that is the way myopia can be prevented. Here you look at the left-hand side is the white LED-based lighting system in your study table, and the right-hand side is the traditional desk lamp. And you can see the major difference, how this is going to be sleepy, and the left-hand side will keep you. So the bad lighting, poor lighting, light pollution is another role, play another role for our study habit. And that's where we need. And because of that poor lighting, our pupil get contract and expand very frequently. And in fact, you will notice the children, when they bring the mobile phone and tab very close to their eyes get stretched. And this is a very, very bad syndrome. And that's where they are going to wear the glasses at the age of 12. And in fact, if I look at in all the undergraduate students at the age of 11, at the age of 21, between 24, wherever I go and teach, I see 50% of the young kids are wearing the glasses, and some of them are wearing the contact lens to hide. So this is really, really a serious concern in the health and medicine and humanity. Now, anti-myopic methods, these are the methods biologists, doctors, and so on, physicists, chemists, all of them together found out, engineers, reduce close work vision, break 5 minutes in every hour, and that's where the Apple Watch and Apple phone device you the reminder. Many phones, of course, nowadays give you the reminder after one, and they are inbuilt through sensor. After 1 minute, after 1 hour, they will say, take a walk. So increase background and peripheral brightness when working. Use suitable distance glasses for distant vision. Use reading glasses plus 2D for close work vision. Those who are having myopia, not for everybody. Go outdoor whenever possible to see the warm atmosphere or the cool atmosphere. Get naturalized, bring your body acclimatized with the natural weather, and that's where the circadian rhythm will come back. Never read books or use mobile screen in darkness. So always, if you are using mobile phone, please put your light on. So in conclusion of this lecture, I would like to say that human-centric lighting system is needed. Nanophotonics is going to play a role, and that is the challenge in front of the humanity at the moment. So why we need human-centric lighting system? Because of these 5 reasons. It is saving, low energy consumption and low cost, thanks to LED technology. Low energy consumption. Now you know, in every country in the world, starting from Africa to Europe to any continent, any country you go, the first priority of the government is energy. Second is health. Why energy? Second is health and hygiene, because energy is related to health and hygiene. They are strongly correlated. So how to reduce the energy, but at the same time, we need to have clean energy. In fact, because LED use the green technology, so the energy pollution would be also low. If the energy pollution would be low, then the health pollution would be low, environmental pollution would be low. So this is required. See, in all sense, this is saving. Safety, no ultraviolet light, no ROHS, no electric shock, no glare, and it is also difficult to burn. Strong, because it is good health, good sleep, no mismatched diseases. So circadian rhythm will prevail in the body. So our biological clock would be tick in the same time every time. In the night time, if you are having habit of going to bed 11 o'clock, then you would go to 11 o'clock, not like sometime 2 o'clock, sometime 3 o'clock, as today most of the people are doing. Good awareness, alertness, when you will be in the class or you will be in your research lab, your awareness, your alertness, your creativity would be intact, your mood would be fantastic, and joyfulness. So what we need in our life, whatever we do, science, business, we need happiness and joyfulness. And the most important thing we need, sustainable environment and sustainable humanity and sustainable living creature on this beautiful and gifted planet. So with this, I'm going to end my lecture. Thanks to all of you. I am thankful to University Technology Malaysia to represent, and my research group, Advanced Optical Material Research Group. Thanks to Professor Tankeshwar, Vice Chancellor of Guru Jambheswar University, my all past students who has seen my teaching, and I am happy some of them are there already, Sandeep, Rajkumar, and many I have seen. My colleagues there, Professor Assis, Professor Sujata, and many, I don't want to take name because names are so huge, but my regard goes to everybody, and my most important and most livelihood friend, Professor Devendra Mohan. I give my loving salutations all the time to him. And I also ask the audience, never stop asking questions. And that's where Einstein's dream would be fulfilled and Richard Feynman's dream would be fulfilled. So we are ready to ask question. The man who asks question is fool for a minute. The man who does not ask question is fool for life. With this, I end my lecture. Thank you.
Yes, very truly said. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ghoshal. Any questions? Any questions? No. Okay, and thank you, Dr. Ghoshal, for giving a wonderful talk on usefulness of light for life on Earth. And you have, in fact, given all insights of science of color, its importance of colors in our life. And you have very well said that why everybody sees the same color. You have very well explained it. And it is said that modern urbanization, due to global warming, all the viruses have evolved now, and we are to live with all these. But solution to all these problems is also with us, that nanophotonics is the way ahead, and scientists are exploring it. So in a nutshell, we all want to be near the nature. So we are harnessing light in a different way. We want to be near the nature. We want to live on this planet Earth. And thank you very much for the wonderful talk. And I must appreciate that you agreed for this during this faculty development program, and your talk will go a long way in the minds of the participants, and they will be benefited. They will give fire in their valleys. So if there is a fire in the valley, they will come up somehow. Okay. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks the entire audience for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. So now for all the participants.
Thank you, Rajkumar.
Yes. Yes. Want to say something?
A nice talk. It's a very nice to listen. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. For all the participants, now it is time for lunch, and as usual, we'll be meeting at 3. Tomorrow also we'll be having a wonderful lecture, and there will be some meditation lecture also, some related to yoga and all that at 11:30. And I'll communicate as usual. So let us meet at 3 now. Thank you, each one, everyone. Meeting at 3. Join in time, 2:55.
Stay safe and enjoy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You are making it really great. So much
Oh,
of learning going on. Truly faculty development program. Truly. I really appreciate. It's so much of knowledge is coming up with so great speaker and knowledgeable people you gathered. This is the important thing.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll have more speakers next time, like you, and with the help of you, we'll be
Madam
invited.
want to say something, it seems. Madam want to say something, it seems.
We are even
Yes.
learning. We are not faculty. Still, we are learning. I just want to comment that.
That's why I did not show any mathematics, because I know many people are fear of mathematics.
Yeah. I am a person of arts actually.
Yeah, that's why I told in an arts way.
But
Yeah.
color has a role to play in arts.
The most important, no color, no arts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Convey my regards at home.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'll convey. Thank you.
Okay.
We are waiting. When COVID will go, you will come here.
Yeah, yeah. I am likely to come. Don't worry. Even during COVID, I can come.
No, 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 no. Don't take that. I have no doubt about your braveness, but don't do that. You can do anything. That's what I said. You can do anything. As Professor Chand said that the sky cannot be also our limit. We can go, and you are like that.
Beyond sky.
You are like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let us wind up.